None of that is what he said. I'm using the facts as your employees
I
stated
conducted
them.
an individual review of everything, and that concept doesn't work for you.
When did you conduct an individualized
Work on
review
it every
of
single
781
because
grants?
we have a zero tolerance
Will you
policy
show me
towards
your
wasting
schedule?
dollars. We inherit something. You don't care about wasting money.
Will you show me your
You don't care
schedule?
about wasting money, but the Trump administration does, Senator.
Will you show me your schedule?
Our schedule's publicly released. We don't put on the schedule every single moment
Will you
of
show
the
me?
day.
Picture this. The head of the Environmental Protection Agency looks a U.S. Senator in the eye and swears that he personally reviewed nearly 800 grants, all by himself, all in one day. Do the math. That's 45 seconds per grant. No breaks, no real scrutiny, just a conveyor belt of rubber stamping. It sounds impossible because it is. And when Senator Sheldon Whitehouse dug into the numbers, the stories, and the sworn testimony, what he uncovered wasn't just sloppy oversight. It was a web of contradictions that the EPA couldn't keep straight.
Thanks very much. Administrator Zeldin, on April 23rd, Daniel Coogan, for the EPA, filed a sworn statement in court that said, and I quote here, EPA leadership conducted an individualized grant-by-grant review to determine which grants should continue. He made that statement under oath, and on the following page of his declaration, he said that there were approximately 377 grantees that had received cancellation notices and another 404 grantees who would receive notices within the next 2 weeks, for a total, by my math, of 781 total grantees. Do you dispute his testimony that there were 781 individual grants at issue?
The exact number I don't have offhand, but
you don't dispute it. So let's say that it's 781 or thereabouts.
I did those myself.
His testimony under oath was that that took place. Then, and I'd ask unanimous consent that that declaration of Daniel Coogan be made an exhibit. Then, on May 6th, Travis Voiles of EPA made the following statement, also under oath, also in a court filing. He said, on February 25th, 2025, I conducted an individualized review of EPA grant programs. That day, I decided that certain grant programs should be terminated for policy reasons. So there are three things about that Voiles statement that are noteworthy. First, the date. He said that he did this all on February 25th, which is interesting, because if he put in a 10-hour day, that's 600 minutes of time for 781 grant applications, which means he would have had to conclude his review of each of them in 45 seconds without even a bathroom break. The second thing about the statement is that he said, I conducted, not you conducted, Administrator Zeldin, not leadership conducted. He said he conducted, and he said that under oath. The third thing that was interesting is that he dropped in a weasel word, programs. He didn't say individualized review of grants. He said individualized review of grant programs. Mr. Zeldin, is there a difference between a grant and a grant program?
Well, you have individual grants inside of a grant program.
And you could have dozens or even hundreds of individual grants inside of a grant program, correct?
I know for a fact that Travis Voiles individually reviewed every single grant individually, and I know that I've reviewed every single grant individually, and I also know that
is
Travis
not what the
Voiles
sworn testimony indicates. Let me reclaim my time here.
But the fact
on
is,
May 16th,
we both individually reviewed all of the grants, and I know that he was working on it every single day, not just on one day.
Well, that's not what his sworn testimony was. And on May 16th, DOJ career lawyers who are under an obligation of candor to the tribunal, upon which their right to practice law depends, filed a pleading in federal court that conceded that you had not done individualized grant-by-grant reviews. They were not contesting that EPA failed to do an individualized review. In court, they admitted In fact, their language is, defendants do not contest judgment on the merits of plaintiffs' APA claims. I'd ask that the reply be put into the record, that the Voiles declaration be put into the record, and that an inside EPA news report that discusses that court proceeding be put into the record.
Without objection.
And then yesterday, you stated during your House E&C hearing that you personally reviewed all these grants. Here's what you said. I was the one who made the decision, and I made the decision after doing individual review. I personally reviewed every single grant that I canceled. Now, you guys are going to have to start getting your stories straight, because there are three completely different statements, and they cannot all be true. It cannot be that Voiles personally, himself, conducted the review of 781.
He did.
And that Coogan saw to it that it was individually done.
Others did. It's a crazy concept, Senator, but maybe more than one person was individually reviewing these grants. Maybe they were working on it for more than one day, Senator. Have you thought about that concept? What about the fact
when
that
their
when
testimony is that they did it all on one day? No, I do not.
Every single time.
I do not agree with that, Administrator.
Senator.
He swore in court that he did it on one day. So you can't now come in and say that that's false.
You make a decision on a day after you work on it, busting your ass for a while to get all of your ducks lined up.
That's
to
not
do
what
all
he
the
said.
research, to ask questions, to make sure you're making responsible decisions.
None of that is what he said.
Because they're not worried that there's going to be some ranking member at the
None of that is what he said.
Who doesn't care about the facts.
None of that is what he said. I'm using the facts as your employees
I
stated
conducted an
them.
individual review of everything, and that concept doesn't work for you.
When did you conduct an individualized
Work on
review
it every
of
single
781
because
grants?
we have a zero tolerance
Will you
policy
show me
towards
your
wasting
schedule?
dollars. We inherit something. You don't care about wasting money.
Will you show me your
You don't care
schedule?
about wasting money, but the Trump administration does, Senator.
Will you show me your schedule?
Our schedule's publicly released. We don't put on the schedule every single moment
Will you
of the
show me
day
your
that
schedule
It's
to
publicly
prove
released.
your assertion
I'm
that
here
you
under
did
oath,
individualized
Senator.
review of
They're
781?
under oath telling you that I was reviewing this stuff and working on it almost every single day.
And the
Why?
problem
Because
with
when I
that-
was before this committee, I was asked by Senator Ricketts, if confirmed, would I immediately make this a top priority to go through all the grant funding going through EPA to make sure that we are cracking down on every waste, every aspect of abuse, because I have to come back here in front of Senator Ricketts today. And even though you don't care about wasting tax dollars, Senator Ricketts does.
And the
I'm going to do
problem-
my job because the American public
And the
cares
problem-
about us not wasting tax dollars.
And the problem with your assertion here today is that it is belied by your own employees' sworn statements in court and by the decision of the
Senator,
Department of
you're not
Justice
grasping
to
the fact-
admit that what you
No,
say
you're
isn't
not grasping
true.
the fact that we would have multiple employees looking at these grants. That concept just escapes you like that's even a possibility.
The only
You
thing
come
about
here
that is that
and
that's not
you don't care
true.
about 99% of the story.
That's not true according to your own
You're not
employees'
grasping
testimony.
it, Senator. I don't know what to say to you. You're insisting on the fact
I'm
that
insisting on the facts.
that
That's
he
exactly
only-
what I'm insisting
Yes,
on. I'm
okay.
insisting on the facts, and I now have
I will
three
say
different
again
versions of the facts,
that Travis
including
Voiles
Department
and I
of Justice
and others
lawyers
are working on this every
who
single
admitted
day that
in
we're
court
in
that
office.
what you're saying
and we're
now
not going
is
to
not
waste
true.
dollars just because you insist on EPA lighting taxpayer dollars on fire. The American taxpayers, they put President Trump in office because of people like you. They have Republicans in charge of the House and Senate because of people like you. Because you don't care about 99% of this story. You don't want me to go through the list of all the evidence of waste and abuse. You
No,
don't
what I
care
want you to do,
in conflicts of interest.
What I want
don't care
you to
about
do-
unqualified recipients. You don't care about
what I
reduced
want you to
agency
do
oversight.
is explain why the Department of Justice lawyers representing EPA in court under a duty of candor have said that everything you've just said isn't true. That's what I want. Get me that answer.
I'm here before this committee
I've
under
exceeded my
oath.
time. I'll let the chairman take back the gavel.
Thank you. All right. Well, we seem to have a little bit of a disagreement. Perhaps we can work on this in the future about the difference between the discrepancy here. Does that sound fair?
Absolutely. I think getting to the basis and the bottom of this dispute is very important, and the facts actually matter here.
All right.
The Donald Trump EP canceled nearly 800 grants money that supports environmental cleanup, climate research, and community health programs. but the explanation of how those cancellations were decided. That's where the story falls apart. First version, an EPA staffer swore under oath that agency leadership went through each grant one by one. Second version, another official swore he personally reviewed all the programs in a single day, February 25 th. Again, 781 grants in 600 minutes. It doesn't pass the laugh test. Third version, Department of Justice lawyers, who actually have to maintain credibility in court, admitted flat out that no individualized review was done. So which is it? Three completely different sworn statements. They can't all be true. That's when Whitehouse went to work. He laid out the timeline, walked through the math, and then cornered Administrator Lee Zeldin. If you claim you personally reviewed all of these grants, prove it. Show us your schedule. Show us the work. And what did Zeldin do? He dodged. He attacked Democrats, accused Whitehouse of not caring about taxpayer money, invoked Trump's name, and ranted about waste and abuse. But he never answered the central question: how do you review 781 grants in a single day? This is where it gets even more damning, because when your own lawyers, the people paid to defend you in federal court, admit in writing that what you're saying isn't true, you've lost the argument. At that point, it doesn't matter how much spin you throw on top. The foundation has already collapsed. And let's not forget what's at stake here. These weren't theoretical line items. They were real grants that fund real work, protecting drinking water, cleaning up toxic sites, supporting communities on the front lines of climate change. Cutting them without review isn't just lazy, it's destructive. And then lying about it? That's a scandal. Whitehouse nailed it when he said, "Get your story straight." Because right now, the EPA's story is a mess of contradictions, excuses, and outright falsehoods. And no amount of finger-pointing can fix that. So here's the bigger question. Was this sheer incompetence or a deliberate cover-up to kill environmental funding under Trump's watch? Either way, it shows how fragile accountability becomes when the people in charge are more interested in protecting themselves than telling the truth. I want to hear what you think. Is this corruption, sloppiness, or both? Drop your thoughts below and let's talk about it. And if you found this breakdown useful, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Because these hearings are exposing a lot more than just political theater. They're showing us how power really works in Washington.